Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 384. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez. Unmute yourself, birthday boy.
What's up, people? How's it going?
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Hey, how you doing?
Brett Murdoch.
Yo.
And Brian Majoma.
What a week.
Yeah, it certainly has been. All right, as I alluded to right at the top of the show, I want to wish Mr. Manny a happy birthday. Yay!
Oh, thank you. 42. Now we're the same age, Tony.
Yeah, we're the same age, you know. You were younger than me for just
another
couple
year
months.
in a row. Nothing
Yes.
ever going to change about that.
It's neck and neck.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. So you said you kind of just kept it low key, right?
Yeah, I didn't do anything too crazy. Although, I mean, to be honest, the biggest thing for this week was me going to see Symphony X.
Ah, yes,
Like,
twice. That's a hell of a way to celebrate.
Yeah, I was like Tuesday and then Wednesday I went to see them and it was all good. So yeah, it was I had a really good time. Again, can't beat like literally walking out of your house, a little 20-minute walk, and then going to a concert. That's so awesome. I because usually you go to a concert, it's a whole big production, man. You gotta get a car, you gotta go all this stuff, right?
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Every single concert has always been a trek to Yomi, you know?
Exactly. And also, speaking of Trek to Yomi, I actually did get to play a game. Oh my god!
Yo, man, that's crazy.
Yeah. So yesterday, I think Friday or Saturday, or Friday or Saturday, I got to play a game when I got back. So I'm going through that game. It's a fun game so far. I mean, I know a couple people said it sort of gets out of the way before it starts to get a little boring. I sort of got a little bored with it. But I'm gonna keep going until I find out what the ending is. But yeah, I still like the game. I just feel like it becomes a little bit rinsey repeaty.
Yeah. Well, we could discuss that more on Thursday.
Yep.
But because this is the Fancy Show, and we got a lot of questions, and you know what it's about today. You already know.
Oh,
you know?
is it about a field that's covered in stars?
Yes, it's a field of stars and Xbox and green and all that. Appropriate that like Brett's Discord thing is green, so it matches the Xbox theme for tonight. Maybe I should turn my background, Hold on, maybe I should turn my shit green behind me,
Yeah, that was 100% intentional.
Yeah. I don't know how green this will look. Because the thing is, I got these like kind of yellow lights to give my skin color, so it doesn't go well with the green. Yo, Tony, you some kind of artist or something? Now, I understand colors a little bit, just a little some. All right, man, let's get into it, man. First question is from Mob Hits. And this one is pretty straightforward. Do Starfield and Redfall's delay dampen Xbox's momentum? I think so. I think it does.
Oh yeah, that's an easy one.
Yeah, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Like,
especially with a major release like that. Absolutely, this is not a minor game.
Yeah, like, and again, we already kind of really talked about this during the Thursday show, but it's like, if you're an Xbox fan, you really don't have a lot to look forward to when it comes to AAA games. There's a bunch of indie stuff coming, obviously, right? But as far as like the big Mamma Jamma games, you ain't got nothing. You got Horizon, you got Forza Motorsport, right? It's a racing game, Let's just be honest here. Like, that's not really gonna, like, it's gonna do numbers for the racing people, but like for general audiences, I don't give a fuck about that. That's not a system seller, So yeah, I don't think we really need to go deeper into this question. Yes, it will absolutely slow the momentum down, no question about it.
I actually say no, it won't.
No, what's gonna keep them going for the rest of the year?
Oh no, you misinterpreted the reason why I say no.
Okay.
I mean, to dampen momentum, you have to have momentum in the first place.
Damn! All right,
I knew where Brian was going.
Yeah, I like that, Brian.
Oh, they have no momentum.
Like, they got no momentum. I thought they had something going on, but I think you're right, Brian. After Halo, I think, yeah, it kind of just, just stopped.
So is their holiday just getting Halo co-op released? What's going on?
Yes. You know. Or by the way, I'm going to skip around a little bit because this next question is all related to from Villa Kyle. What? And let me finish asking this question first. What if Starfield is the only showstopper at the Xbox Bethesda June showcase, not E3? E3 is not happening. Personally, I think that would be a big mistake. Xbox has to continually build momentum and excitement until we actually get these games in hand, because all they got is promises at the moment. I don't think they're going to be showing Starfield. I could be wrong, Villa Kyle. I think he asked this question before the official delay. I don't think they're going to show that game. I think what would they have? They don't have anything, you know. So what do you guys think? You think we're going to see Bethesda at the? I mean, you're going to see Starfield at the Bethesda thing this summer, June.
Well, the name of the showcase is the Xbox and Bethesda showcase.
Yes.
So it'd be kind of weird if Bethesda doesn't have anything there. I mean, obviously Redfall and Starfield are delayed. But I think they'll show Starfield for sure.
Are they like how do they address the fact that it's been delayed? How do they deal with that?
Well, they do have the luxury of starting from nothing because they haven't showed anything other than concept art.
Yeah.
So if they show any semblance of gameplay, I guess it'll be a plus for them because we were already not expecting much after the delay. So, I think it would be a smart move just to show gameplay. Obviously, the Bethesda does have a track record of not showing games until pretty much months before they're coming out. But maybe this is one of those.
Wait, do they have that track record? I remember that happening with Fallout 4, but that's not really.
76 also.
Elder, whatever the fuck, Elden Scrolls. What the fuck's the name of this shit? Elder Scrolls.
You're about to say
Elden Ring specimen. Elder Scrolls 6.
Elden Scrolls.
Yeah, Elden Scrolls.
I guess I should make the clarification. They showed the actual game, not disclose the game.
Yeah,
I guess
Elden Ring's fucking me up right now. But yeah, so but I see what you're saying though.
But it sucks. I mean, what else does Bethesda have? Doom 3 or something? Wolfenstein? I don't think so. Maybe, but they might just have to rename it the Xbox and Friends Showcase.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Which one's Redfall again?
The one that's like the vampire game that's kind of like Left 4 Dead.
The Battle Royale.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It
looks like a service game.
If you were just talking about that game being delayed, lowering momentum, I would have said no. But when you have like the most anticipated game that you have coming out, it's yes. But I don't know what they're gonna show or what they're gonna talk about unless they have some kind of. I would hope by now you have some kind of gameplay ready to show.
Have something.
Yeah, I would think, right? How long has it been since we saw that cutscene that doesn't tell you anything?
Yeah, you're right. It's been wow. It wasn't last year, was it?
It was like last year.
Jesus, man.
I mean, you gotta have some gameplay. I mean, really, it's not even a joke. By now, you don't have gameplay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore about Xbox. Like, if you're an Xbox fan, it's going to be hard holding the line. Remember that? For a few years ago, hold the line. Right. It's like, what are you holding on to? There's nothing to hold on to anymore.
Or hold the door.
Not to engage in whataboutism, but like, is there a whole lot coming for PlayStation?
No.
I think we're just kind of in a general gaming drought.
Yeah, same thing with Nintendo. Nothing. Nintendo ain't got nothing.
Yeah, and so that kind of softens the blow a little bit. Like, yes, like their momentum is slow and they don't really have much going on, but expectations are also low because it's not like somebody else is just beating the pants off, which I think would change the optics of the situation.
I feel like it softens the blow for fanboy discourse, but definitely not for the gamers who actually play games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, but the gamers don't really care who's coming out with the games, for the most part.
No, but if we're not getting any games, then we suffer through this.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The whole thing with Microsoft is just they don't have any semblance of a momentum when it comes to releasing video games. Last year felt like a treat. It's like, oh, we're getting a Forza Horizon and a Halo game. That shit's crazy.
Yeah.
And we got that Double Fine game. It was the best they got, and we got a half of a Halo game. And they. And with Sony, I don't know what the hell they're gonna do with God of War. Have we heard anything about that? I don't know. That's the only game that maybe will come out, but we said it in this show before. We don't think it's gonna come out this year.
Yeah.
So we have almost literally nothing to look forward to this year.
This year's done. As far as I'm concerned, this year's done. Like the Ninja Turtles game is like it. Literally, that's it. You know, what a fucking. I mean, we'll get into it. We got a question related to this, but wow. It's sad. And again, like Brett said, it's not just about Xbox. This is an industry thing right now. Nothing's coming out. All right, what do we got here? Assyrian Air Force. All right, is Game Pass the only thing Microsoft has to sell Xbox? How much longer can people wait for new games to release, given all these delays?
However, they're still having system shortages. That's the fucking problem here. Is that the systems are selling no matter what, like that, and maybe this is my tinfoil hat, but like nobody's incentivized to, try and get this stuff out because it doesn't really seem to matter all that much in terms of hardware sales.
Yeah, Xboxes are easier to get now than PlayStation. PlayStation's still hard, but my thing is,
on the shelves.
Yeah, no, but my point is like you see this all the time. It's like the FOMO of getting these consoles for what? Why are you trying to get these systems? There's nothing to play on them. There's nothing to play on them, but you can't already play on a current system. Why are we stressing over these systems that don't have anything, that don't offer anything new? It's a fucking waste of time.
Blu-ray player.
Yeah, the Blu-ray player. Get a PS3 for that. But I'll by the way, I realize I'm being ornery right now, but I can't help it. It's fucking bullshit.
I just want to point out the fact that I'm glad that I feel like the rest of the show, and obviously you guys have been here for a couple of years now, but I was the original conductor of this train when I originally joined the show.
For last gen,
For last gen, when they were fucking throwing fucking scraps at us and we were just eating it like willingly, and now it's like, man, we are seeing the ramifications of all that shit.
Remember, Carlos, we were talking about that, how like for this gen, you said we've been beating this drum since day zero. I'm like, no, we've been beating it since day -0. We have.
Yeah.
When the PS5 was first on launch, I was like, announced, in was it July or something? I was like, what the fuck? There's no games coming to this thing.
GTA 5?
Yeah, I was like, GTA 5, and then they showed Horizon Forbidden West. Cool. Also coming to PS4. What? Really? Demon Souls. A PS3 game, Miles Morales, a DLC PS4 game. Come on, man. Even at launch, the PS5 was whack. And again, because I know someone's Xbox. Xbox had nothing. That was even worse. What a shitty generation, bro.
Xbox, and I mentioned this. I mentioned this a while back when people are expecting like big game exclusives, but they don't get them, but somehow it's normalized because they're paying for a subscription service, and that shit, like I mentioned last week, a lot of people are just celebrating the fact that video game companies are delaying games, and it's. I mean, does anyone make games on in a decent timeline anymore?
I don't think they do. And
like obviously we don't want them to release games when they're not complete or they're buggy or anything, but I mean, Bethesda's been around for fucking decades. I mean, they should know by now. Like,
but again, we had the pandemic. It's just I know, Carlos. I know you don't like that as an excuse, but it is a reason. By the way, not to undermine something I'm working on right now, but I am actually writing an editorial about this. Basically, said I don't trust release dates anymore, and you shouldn't either. You can't. You know, I remember, and shout out to Paris. He's going to come up in the conversation later on. He said that he would like if there was a time frame that these companies would give for some of these games that are at least coming out. And I told him, like, I don't trust any time frames they would put out. I don't trust that shit because everything keeps getting delayed. You know.
Remember when we got? I forgot what game it was, and it was like, oh, it's coming out the fall of this year, and we're like, it's probably gonna come out spring of the next one, and I think it did.
Yeah. J Shep goes, am I the only one that actually likes most of this gen? Listen, if you like most of this gen, that's fantastic. I'm glad. I honestly am. I'm just saying for myself and a lot of the guys on this panel, shit's been fucking whack. But if you feel differently, that's obviously cool. You know, we're not going to fight you on that.
Our biggest prize, at least for us, our biggest prize so far has been Elden Ring. And Elden Ring is a PS4/Xbox One game.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Again, I still say this, and it's thankfully they keep putting new stuff out. The most impressive thing I've seen of this gen is the fucking Unreal shit. The demos. I've been more impressed by demos than games. How sad is that? You know? Mm-hmm. And again, if you guys been listening to Throwdown this entire generation, I'm repeating myself at this point. I've been saying this. All right, let's move on here. Unless you guys want to say anything else about this. I don't even know what the fuck we were answering. Oh, Xbox, Game Pass. Xbox, for what? What are you getting Game Pass for? Old games now. There's nothing new coming out for it.
And that's another thing. My Game Pass expires December of this year, and I had it programmed specifically for Starfield, and I'm not renewing it until Starfield ever comes out.
Yo, Carlos, you know what that reminds me of? Remember how me and you were prepared to play Halo Infinite?
Oh my God!
You know,
we're playing all the old games. We went through Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 4. We did all of those, and yep. The day I told Tony, like, this isn't coming out with co-op day one. It's like, we stopped playing the other ones because we were going to play Halo 5, and
Halo 5 was next. And then we were going to go play the older one. Yeah, some of the older games were like
Reach.
Timeline. Yeah, we're going to play Reach. We're going to play even ODST if we had time. You know, now it's like, we'll get to it when we get to it, you know? Mm-hmm. If Microsoft's taking its time, we're going to take our time too. How about that? Mm-hmm. Fucking bullshit, man. Whack generation. All right, moving on here. Another question by Mr. Assyrian Air Force. Can Sony capitalize on Starfield and Redfall being delayed by releasing God of War Ragnarok on time? I think even if they don't release the game, they'll probably be ahead at this point just by sheer inertia, you know? But I don't know, man. Carlos said I don't expect this game to come out either. I'm so cynical about this shit right now. I don't even expect that to come out, you know?
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't think God of War is going to come out this year. I hope I'm wrong, because I do want to play someone this year. But then again, maybe I'll look on the brighter side. I actually get to play the actual Cyberpunk game that was intended to come out this year.
I think the whole message of this year is wait for next year. I think that'll be the next one. It's like, 2023, forget it.
Well,
it's funny. That was the message of last year. Exactly.
Yeah, wait till 2022.
That was the message of last year. You know, Final Fantasy 16 ain't coming this year. No fucking way. Listen, I hope I'm wrong about this. I'm wrong about God of War. But I'm seeing the trends, the tea leaves, as Chris would say. And I don't see any hope for this, man. You're going to just play your little indie games. That's all you got, you know?
Yeah.
So, again, there's not even, like, the reason we're not going deeper into these questions is because we don't expect any of this shit to come out, you know? So, I don't know, man. Go ahead, because the next one is going to be funny.
As far as momentum with PlayStation, their momentum is only as high as their product is available to the customers, because they're almost the pure console play. Xbox is more the subscription play. Obviously, they're both dabble in both subscriptions and consoles, but one is more polarized to one way and the other to the other. But yeah, God of War. If God of War comes out, it'll make a splash. But I don't know if people are going to be able to buy PS5s that can. But then again, it's going to be on PS4, so...
Exactly, it doesn't matter. That's still not a next-gen game. It's still a last-gen game. So, yeah. All right, now this next question actually sparked a little bit of controversy within our Discord chat. Very interesting.
Oh, really? What happened?
All right, because I'll say the incident first, and I'll read the question. So basically, this question was brought up, and Paris, my friend Paris from Gamer Tag Radio, was brought up, and they said Tony's not going to ask that question on air because that's his boy. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Why wouldn't I?
Okay.
Especially when the thing they're kind of disagreeing with Paris on is something I've literally been saying on Throwdown since day zero, as Carlos just said, about this generation.
Okay.
So here's the question. This is from Ace Ali. Our man Paris is taking heat on Twitter for saying this year is sparse in regards to big games. With Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7, and Kirby, and more already out, along with what we know / expect to still come out, is this capping lying for one elephant in the room that's now going 10 years without a massive hit exclusive, or is he right and the year overall is slim on games? How we got to break this one apart. This question, because what is he lying for? I think he's trying to say he's trying to say like I think the word he's looking for is damage control. Or the phrase damage control is like, oh, since Starfield didn't come out, he's now saying that his years has been sparse.
He's sort of said this for a while now, though.
Yeah, but so have we.
Yeah.
We've been saying this, and I got to break this down some more, right? Okay. Let's go one by one with these games. Elden Ring, that's probably Throwdown's game of the year, right? So
Yes.
PS4,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is it? It's a PS4 game, not a next gen exclusive, right? Horizon
Okay,
Forbidden
yep.
West, great game, not an exclusive, right? Gran Turismo 7, it's a fucking racing game, bro. Kirby,
And not an exclusive, right?
not an exclusive either. Are we seeing a pattern here?
Yeah.
Right? Kirby, Nintendo fans, whatever, So yes, these are. We're not saying no games have not come out. Obviously, games have come out. We're just saying stuff that gets us excited here. Except for Elden Ring, right? And Horizon was fucking dope. Got the platinum in that. But once Elden Ring came out, all that game was gone. No one was talking about that anymore.
Yeah.
So yes, I will say this year has been sparse, and it's going to be even sparser because nothing is coming out. So yes, Paris is 100% right. And again, Carlos, we've been saying this since day -0 about this generation. This generation hadn't even properly started. We were already seeing this. We're like, dude, there's nothing fucking coming out. There you go, nothing. And yeah, go ahead, go off.
I just wanna mention that I think I do know what he's trying. Okay, so you guys, I think you guys mentioned it, but just if I'm interpreting the question correctly, he's saying that Paris is bringing up this whole everything is sparse, sort of a whataboutism with everyone else, so that the focus can be deflected from the whole just an Xbox thing.
I think that's what they were saying. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I agree. I think that's what the PlayStation guys are doing. That's what the Xbox guys are doing. I don't know what the hell the Nintendo guys are doing, but it's probably not up to no good. I feel like at this point, Paris is sort of almost an ambassador for Microsoft. I mean, he's literally worked for the company, so and I understand Tony's friends with him and stuff.
By the way, he has called Microsoft out for not releasing games or even letting people know what's going on. Just get that out there.
but I still feel like he's more positive. Like even in light of stuff that's like just this whataboutism stuff. I feel like you can be critical of it, and it doesn't really take much. But I feel like he also has a relationship with him, so I don't. If I was in his shoes, I wouldn't be too hard on Microsoft. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. If I was,
Well, I mean,
How much harder does he have to be though? He's been critical of them. He's been more critical of them than Sony. I don't understand how much harsher does he need to be.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't see, obviously in general, as a person who's worked for them, you're not going to be like saying you people are stupid. You should, like, in other words, he's keeping it professional, as you should. If you're going to be critical about something, yes, and you work and you have a stake in the industry, you're not going to be like you're not going to be like one of those crazy ass people that are just literally burning down the fucking barn. I mean, to be honest, he has said this stuff before, so I'm like, what else are you sort of looking for from him?
Yeah, I don't understand that. And the one subset said Paris has been calling Microsoft out because he wants them to get better. He said that. So, Carlos,
Yeah.
it's a very honest question. What do you want him to say that he hasn't said already?
No, I don't want him to say anything. Whatever he says is not my business. But what I'm saying is he's not going to be one of those people cheerleading the negative side to the specific company where he makes bread. That's just facts.
I don't understand what you're getting at.
He's not. What people want him to yell from the top of his lungs, saying that
He's gonna fight the
Microsoft is
feeds.
failing, but he's never going to do that.
Yeah,
No,
because
he's
he's
not
a
gonna do that.
professional.
I'm not saying that he.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he should.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm not saying that he
that's what I
should.
thought. That's what I thought you were getting at.
Carlos, you're just saying he's not going to bite the hand that feeds. He may be positively critical, but he's not going to go any worse than that. Is that about right?
Yeah, if he's ever going to go after a company, it's not going to be Microsoft. Like
But
that.
I mean, I don't think any professional is, because every professional is going to have to work with Microsoft. There's a kind of professional decorum that goes on. That yeah, you could be the guy that's just calling out everybody, but even if then, like that's what Yahtzee does. He calls out fucking everybody. Yahtzee never likes any fucking games, and that's kind of his shtick. So as long as you're kind of even keeled across the board, it doesn't really seem to be much of an issue. As long as you have the same approach, and you can say this game was bad, this game was bad, this game is bad. Touting an idea like there are no games, that's kind of hyperbole, and that's not the realm of a lot of real journalism. You know what I mean? Like that's the realm of clickbait shit.
Yeah. And obviously, when we say that on short and Throwdown, it's for entertainment purposes and also just shorthand. Obviously, there's games coming out, right? We want to make that clear because people take things way too fucking literally on the internet. It's entertainment purposes. It's shorthand. Obviously, there's games coming out. We're just saying the big stuff, that shit, and that's not even an opinion. That's just a fact. These games are not coming out the way they used to. The big AAA stuff. No one could deny that. But we're not going to belabor that whole point with Paris. If you feel differently, then whatever. But again, he's not going to be, fuck Microsoft, blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, he's not going to do that. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I think there's still something to be said about the question. Like, and like I'll take this because I literally just said this. Like, is kind of pointing out that nothing's coming out. Is it whataboutism meant to detract? And no, I don't think it is. Like, it's an important point I want to make out. Like, there's a difference between just being like, well, what about these guys? So everything's fine and everything's the same. It's like, no. What we're saying here is the industry itself. If you look at the industry itself, it is following a pattern.
Yes.
And most companies are not diverging from the pattern. And it kind of reminds me of the old maxim, data doesn't lie, but liars use data. Like, you can paint the data to pretty much say, whatever you want. And yeah, you can probably paint it to say like, oh, this, you can see Microsoft is failing on paper. But really I don't think it's whataboutism, because it's not looking at a company individually. It's saying this is a discussion to be having as the whole industry. And it's not necessarily forgiving Microsoft for that. It's just saying this is an industry-wide discussion, whereas you're framing it in fanboyism. It's not fanboyism. This is a discussion that we should be having about everybody right now, because nobody's particularly leading the pack. And again, if somebody were super far ahead of somebody else, yeah, I can see that changing the discussion. And then you'd be like, well, that's definitely what about. Be like, well, yeah, well, Nintendo's not doing anything. Sony might be doing a bunch of stuff, but Nintendo isn't. That is definitely what about it. But when we're talking about a standard, an average, a median, mean kind of thing, I don't think that it's whataboutism to point that out. I mean, somebody please feel free to challenge me. It's not the most polished of ideas, but I don't think saying, if you go to Hawaii, for instance, right, and you say like, this is the biggest rat ever. This rat is the biggest mammal on the island. Like, I mean, yes, but they don't really have many ground mammals on that island, so nothing above like 1.5 pounds. So yeah, you're technically right, but it's not really phrasing the discussion in terms of truth, I don't think.
I want to read some of what Jay Shep's comments here. He goes, yes, the industry is doing the same thing, but the difference is that everyone has had big AAA games for the past 10 years. Xbox games don't have any room for excuses. 10 years.
Well, no, I think he doesn't. He's not invalid at that point. But I think that again, that's a different discussion. That's saying, does Microsoft have something to prove? Do they have to overcome the benefit of the doubt in terms of gamers' eyes in order to be seen as competitive? And that is a discussion all by itself that we can have. But again, I think that's a different discussion.
Yeah, I agree. That's a totally different discussion. Xbox's whole strategy and all that. That's a whole thing. But we're saying right now, everything that's going on currently is all being affected by the same thing. It's all coming from the same source. There is no one player that's doing worse than another, right? In terms of like struggling when it comes to games this generation. It's all been the same, basically. Yes, I understand that Sony has had more exclusives, and I'm being very careful with that term because I can't say next gen exclusives. It's exclusives. I get that. Nintendo has more exclusives. Xbox hasn't had anything yet, but it's still the exclusives Sony has had are not gargantuan, mind-blowing exclusives, right? What do we have? And these are games, and I love me some Ratchet and Clank. That's not changing things, you know? And Destruction All-Stars, get out of here with that. What else did they have? I can't even think of any. You know?
Okay, the thing here is Sony does have some of the best industry exclusives around, and they have for years. But, I mean, the problem is they come out like once, maybe twice a year, if we're fucking lucky, and they compound over the course of a lifetime, sure. Absolutely, and if you're new to the ecosystem and you just, like, come in halfway through, you got a wealth of games. But Sony, high-quality Sony first-party games, they're not throwing out like fucking candy at a parade, right? This is like some Kobe beef type shit. You get it every once in a while. You can turn down the lights, light the candles, a little bit of alone time, enjoy yourself a Sony game because it's a special fucking occasion.
Yeah, but when it comes to Xbox, you know, the whole they don't have games thing is not something we haven't said on this show. I've said it plenty. The Xbox community hated me for years for saying that, you know. So it's not that I'm not saying, oh, they have an abundance of games. They clearly don't. And I've always said, you know, again, if you heard the show, that's why I love being on a podcast and being on Twitter, because all this shit I've said is all on record. I've already said Xbox, great service, right? Great value for your money. There's no fucking games for it, you know. And yes, Microsoft acquired all these companies. But where the games at, right? So that is definitely an issue. But like Brett said, that's kind of a topic for another time, you know. One we've already had numerous times on this podcast, you know. Bug Stacks, get out of here with that bullshit.
We've been on that trade where Microsoft's acquired these studios, and it's been years, and we still haven't seen the fruit. And,
yeah.
You know, and by the way, who asked the question?
This was it's a Syrian Air Force.
So Assyrian Air Force.
Oh no, excuse me. Ace Ali, we're on that question. My bad. Oh, Ace Ali.
Ace Ali. I feel like there's a difference between being critical and holding companies' feet to the fire. And I guess I would say Paris is critical, but I don't think he'll ever put Microsoft's feet to the fire like you want him to.
I don't think Paris is ever going to put anybody's feet to the fire. He's not that kind of journalist, and he's a really nice guy.
Well, he's not a journalist.
He's not a journalist.
He's a content creator, but yeah, he's not that. He's not that kind of personality. Yeah.
I don't know what you call him. There you go, personality.
Yeah. That's just the way it is. Again, if you expect Paris to go, fuck you, release games, you fucking assholes, that's not gonna happen. You know.
Yeah.
Go to David Jaffe for that shit. You know.
I'm pretty sure hip hop covers that department, doesn't he?
What happened?
I said I'm pretty sure hip hop can cover that department.
No, hip hop doesn't actually curse like that.
No.
Oh,
in fact, he's stopped saying certain words.
Yeah, he has. If you know what I'm talking about, yeah. Hip hop gamers, I've never been that type of guy either. You know.
Yeah, no, I guess he's always been kind of overwhelmingly positive.
Was one of those words
except when it comes to from software games.
I think that's actually kind of, you made a good point, Brett. I think that there's not a lot of people that are kind of known for that. You know, it's a handful of gamers. You know, how many angry, hypercritical personalities / journalists do you know? People like positivity unless you just go full like Angry Joe on that.
I was about to say that.
Well,
yeah,
Angry Joe's a good
literally his whole shtick is Angry Joe. But that stuff wears out thin, man. Like I watched like a couple of his videos. I'm like, oh, this is all his shtick. Okay, done. You know.
Well, I mean, there's different types of YouTubers. There's like Angry Joe's a good example, but sometimes, you know, the influencer realm can be pretty dicey, and there are lanes.
Yeah, there are. We try to stay clear of those lanes. All right, let's move on. Next question here. What do we have? Bob Hits, another one. All right. Will we get an overflow of games in 2023 since everything has been delayed? Is this a good or bad thing? Here's the thing. Like Carlos said, we said this last year. That flood didn't happen. So, and going back to what I said before, I don't trust any of these new release dates. So I don't know.
Yeah, you should release. Let me ask you a question. Why is everybody making this out like now Starfield's not coming? Right?
It's coming. It's just not coming.
No, I know that, but hear me out. Tinfoil hat time. Because every time I see Starfield on Twitter, I'm gonna be honest here, I just see a line of PlayStation fanboys begging for it and talking about how it's not fair and stomping their feet and everything like that. So I'm kind of inclined to believe that this whole like Starfield got pushed back 3 months. Now Xbox doesn't have anything. Is kind of being perpetrated by people who are a little bit angry at Starfield because it's being treated like it just disappeared from the discussion. It's gonna be 3 months late, maybe 6 months late, but like these games, these big Bethesda games, one of them comes out like every 10. Like you get an Elder Scrolls every 10 fucking years,
Brett, to be fair, the game was actually supposed to come out 6 months from now.
Yeah. But that was in a pre-cyberpunk world, Tony.
Yes.
We don't live there anymore.
Pre-cyberpunk and pre-COVID world. So yeah, it's both of those together. No, I generally agree with what you're saying. Although I will kind of. Obviously, you see things that you see different things than I do on Twitter. I have never seen PlayStation fans want Starfield. I've never seen that. They want Fallout. They want Elder Scrolls. They want Fallout. I've never seen a PlayStation fan, again, just by my experience, clamor for Starfield.
That shit.
Yeah.
It was.
Please do.
The River of Tears was so fucking hilarious. I'm gonna be honest. As a multi-plat gamer, I just revel in people angry at exclusives and other shit.
Yeah.
The whole console war amuses me.
Can I take a page from Brian real quick?
Yes, you can.
Starfield did not disappear. It's never appeared.
Oh, that is true. Real quick, J. Shep goes, Starfield was trademarked in 2013. They've been working on a game for a minute. Yeah, that's how long games take to make, especially games on that scale. There's a question related to that. I'm glad somebody asked it because people seem to think you can just shit out these high production games in 2 years. No. That's not the way these things work, But we'll get into that specific question in a bit. So yeah, no, I don't, I hope there's a flood of games, but I don't think so. I think more delays.
The thing with this is we're so jaded at this point that when they delayed it to the first half of 2023, it's like I can't even trust that.
Yeah, I don't trust anything.
I can't trust first half of 2023. So it's like, why even bother thinking about this game ever coming out? Might as well just.
What was it? Didn't we see? Yeah, just real quick because I know they was it Dead Space, right? The Dead Space remake. They said January 27, 2023. I laughed out loud when I saw that. I'm like, yeah, fucking right. We'll see about that. I laugh at any of these release dates. I don't trust none of that shit. I'm at that point right now.
The last release date I actually paid attention to was one from Devolver Digital, and I think it was hopefully holiday.
Yeah. So we'll see, but I don't trust any of these fucking dates. All right, moving on here. Lego Bro. Was Xbox or Microsoft, whatever, unprepared for this generation? I think everybody was unprepared for this generation. Let's just be real. Here. These consoles came out way too fast. They were not supposed to have been released at that point, clearly, because we had all these cross-gen games, So, go ahead.
It was, if you remember correctly, it was kind of a race to market. Like, anybody who gets ahead of somebody else too fast, we've seen is pretty critical to the sales and domination of that generation. So it's kind of like an opposite game of chicken. Everyone they definitely wanted to get theirs out before the other one, and they have people on the inside telling me the other one's coming out soon, so they got to fucking get theirs out. And so they rushed to get that shit out. And they didn't, let's be honest, from the fucking get-go, no matter how much they baked this thing, there was going to be cross-gen games. There was cross-gen games last generation.
Unfortunately, you're right, yeah.
That's not we couldn't do this in time. And then pandemic slowed everything down, and they just kind of went, well, just kind of release everything for PlayStation 4 for the next foreseeable future. I mean, Microsoft did that shit. Like when they publicly announced first 2 years everything's going to come out in both systems. Why the fuck would you do that? And now I was hoping that Sony would pick up the torch and say, you know what, we'll have next gen games, but they just they took the out, man.
Yeah. Especially after saying we believe in console generations. Remember that bullshit?
Yeah, but here's the thing: you're talking about jaded. Like you just don't believe anything Sony says.
I don't believe anything any of these companies say right now. You know?
I believe some companies were acquired and they've got projects. That's about the extent of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
you know, the last bastion of hope was CD Projekt Red, and they let us down. So there's literally no one else left that has a good track record. So
yeah.
There's really no point to put anyone on a pedestal. And damn it, I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something.
Yeah, and again, just apologies for the cynical jadedness here tonight, but we keep it real on Throwdown. There's no fakery around here, This is how we feel, and we're not feeling very good about this generation. It's been whack, wiggity wiggity whack. All right,
Let me ask,
what's
Brad,
up?
How's PC side doing?
Yeah, that lets you know right there.
Yeah, that well. Okay.
Hey, sorry, busy. I'm not too sure, but there's stuff coming out, so that's good. Well, I think the reason why these guys are so jaded is that all they want is just like one type of game. Like they want that big splurge of in their face. Where's Adam? That's not here. Damn it. Yeah,
Have something.
they just want the big splurge and they want like the big budget games, and that's what they are looking for. So, I can sit here and say like, hey, like there are cool games coming out, but for the most part, no one here cares about. Like for example, the Ghostwire Tokyo game, it came out, but obviously no one here has played it yet. The Xenoblade Chronicles 3 coming out next month, or in July, one or two, June, July, I don't remember which. For the most part, no one here really cares about that. There's a new Pokemon game, which for the most part, people keep making, but yet people keep buying. I don't know why. It's weird. But yeah, so that's what I mean. Like there are like these really cool games that come out here and there, but for the most part, if you really don't care about them, then you don't care about them, and that's pretty much the state of PC. It's like there can be like multiple games that come out, and for the most part, people aren't really looking forward to them because they aren't plastered on a billboard. So that's why I think that this whole like gaming drought idea that people go through is like, yeah, that seems to be more of like a console space thing because people on consoles seem to be hardwired to want the big games, and obviously they don't come out like every 3 months because it's just not feasible. Because dear lord, that's exhausting. So yeah, so that's why they look for the Starfields and the God of Wars, because when they come out, they latch on something. But yeah, if you go past that, then yeah, there's tons of stuff to play.
Yeah, like I said, before, yes, obviously there are games playing out, but the majority of us here on this panel don't give a shit. Brian just named a bunch of them, like, don't care. Ghostwire Tokyo is not going to be selling fucking consoles. That it's shit like that.
That's the motherfucker who came up with Resident Evil. The only reason I don't think that game got more traction is it did not get good reviews.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that I have read about it, and everybody that I've heard talk about it, it's kind of mediocre. It's a first-person shooter with laser hand skin over the top, and it gets super repetitive about halfway through.
Damn.
Yeah.
So this is not a good game then.
I do feel like there's a specific types of games that we're into for the most part. But there's still variety in it. I mean, Monster Hunter World released that 1 year, and I'm happy for the whole year. Elden Ring's a different type of game. God of War's different from that. Halo's a different type from that. So, there's and those are the types of games that get made the most. For like Pokemon and Xenoblade, Pokemon I used to be a huge fan. Xenoblade I never cared about. So there's always going to be those blind spots for everyone.
Yeah, but like I said, when it comes to the big AAA stuff, dry, undeniably dry. All right, moving on here. Villa Kyle again. All right. What are your thoughts on Gotham Knights? If that's what current gen looks like, I'm not impressed. They should have just said they don't have the capacity for multiple SKUs. Listen, I've already said this about this game. The instant they said Batman isn't in it, I stopped caring. I don't give a shit about those other characters. So, and then it's supposed to be like a live service game, apparently, maybe. Fuck that shit. We've seen that with Avengers. Please correct me if I'm wrong about that part. But if it's anything, if it has a whiff of that, no thanks. No thanks. I'm not being fooled again, you know? So
I haven't seen it, but can I say, like, I mean, are you surprised that the next gen game that is now running on 3-year-old hardware isn't bleeding edge? By the time we actually get to next gen games, they're gonna feel old.
yeah, or older, because remember, they were making it for last gen, then they decided, now we're going to do that. We're just current gen, which is great. I like that approach. I'm with that. But I don't really have much to say about the quality of the game because I don't care about the game. Again, you give me a Gotham game without Batman, why should I care? You know?
There's a premise here to discuss. Like, do you think it's still downgraded from having been on both, or do you think that, you know, this is what next gen is going to look like, and it's just going to be, you know, a hardly discernible leap?
Nah, I think it's a last gen holdover, you know? So I think that's why it looks the way it does. Even though to me, it looks fine, doesn't look great, doesn't look, you know, horrible, it looks fine, serviceable, you know? I don't have any problem. Yeah.
Okay, but that is the definition of, like, not next gen.
Oh no, I'm not saying it because the game's obviously not next gen, you know?
Okay, well, there's the meat of it right there.
Yeah.
It's not next gen, it's just on next gen.
Yeah, pretty much. But again, I don't care about this game to, you know, have any strong feelings about it one way or another, you know? Again, you lost me at no Batman. No, don't care, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
You can still discuss the idea. I don't give a shit about the game, but I hope that this is, well, a holdover from last gen, because I'm genuinely concerned that, you know, I mean, maybe it won't, because contextually, you know, I won't have upgraded my PC. I won't have anything relative to compare it to. But, like, man, by the time we start getting these exclusives, like, how cutting edge is this hardware going to be?
Yeah. It's a good question.
I mean, that's kind of the thing with consoles is for the first half of their life cycle, they're still relatively there, and then for the second half of their lifestyle, they're just holding on to old tech.
Yeah, because remember, this thing was still made with last gen in mind, so it's still going to have that stink of last gen, you know? That's just how it is.
Yeah, I guess you can't just take off the shine and ray tracing.
Yeah, no,
we talked about that before. It doesn't work like that.
Exactly. But yeah, so does anybody have any thoughts about this game? Anybody want to play it? Take that as a no.
I have a thought.
This is put it on Game Pass. How about that? Put it on Game Pass. You know, go ahead, Brett. What's your thought?
Why?
Why don't I care?
No, just why? Why? Just pointing at the game. Why?
Oh, why game?
Why game?
Yeah, why game?
Because I don't
money. Money, please.
No, it should have been exactly like Tony said. Like, oh, we're gonna make a Batman game without.
Well, yeah.
Pass.
No. That's a recipe for failure. That's you know, that's to give me the pizza with nothing. No. I need everything.
DLC, maybe. No.
Well, that would be dumb. That's an afterthought. Then game's already failed at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you're right. It's like, people like Batman games. How about we do a Batman game without Batman? Oh shit, amazing. Let's do that. Okay, bro. Don't care. I mean, don't care.
It's different. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, just because it's different don't mean it's good. You know what I'm saying, man? So whatever. Don't care.
My guess is that at some point in time during development of the last one, someone was like, "Oh, this is really good," you know? Like, it'd be so cool if you could play, like, other Batman-esque characters, like, in the Batman world. And then someone just hopped on and said, like, "Oh, that's a good way to make money, you know? We just shove in, like, all these characters that people love, you know? Like, people love Batman, and they love, like, his side characters, so let's get all the side characters in one big game and put them in there.
And I'm
then,
on board. At what point, Brian, do they go, but not Batman?
Well, that's the thing. Well,
Literally, the premise of the game is Batman's dead, so these guys got to take over.
Yeah.
And you know what's going to happen towards the end of the game. Oh, Batman actually isn't dead. He's doing some other shit. You already know that's going to happen. You already know.
Now I'm not going to enjoy the game, Tony.
There's no way they have the balls to kill Batman.
Yeah. By the way,
I guarantee you that it's like Batman's not dead. He's just kidnapped by the Joker, and that's the big twist.
Listen, that's probably it right there. That's probably it right there.
I will guarantee you that the Joker's in there somewhere because for some odd reason
he can't not be in there.
Yeah, he just can't not be in there by definition. It's like, oh, it's a Batman IP. Joker's in there somewhere. Why? Because the fucking Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think so, but you'd also think that Batman would be in it.
Oh, they'll show up at the end.
They'll show up at the end,
They'll show up at the end.
Yeah. So, and someone's going to yell Martha, just because.
Why'd you say that?
Why'd you say that name?
This kind of smacks of. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole. I'm just going to gently graze over it. Don't get started. I feel like this smacks of some sort of internal identity politics thing that, like, it grew like, let's give the other people in the Batman universe a voice. Let's give them a chance to step forward. Like, I feel like that's the seed that started here.
Oh, Brett, have you seen Batgirl's, I guess, whatever, like, codex entry, I guess the best way to call it?
Oh, no.
I will send it to you in the Twitter chat, and you can enjoy.
Oh, boy.
All I'll say about that is no comment. Not trying to get in trouble here.
I haven't seen it either.
That's why I strictly said, like, I feel like there are identity politics at play. I'm not saying which way, one way or the other. I'm just saying I feel like that entered into the decision somewhere.
Yeah, well, all I know is, like, I don't understand why they have that swole Jason Todd in there. This dude looks like BJ Blazkowicz. Like, what the fuck is going on here? I don't know. Whatever. Move on. I think we've got another question about this game. Annihilator. Oh, is a name we haven't seen in a while. What's going on, man? Welcome back.
Look at the devastation. Fear of annihilation.
All right. His question is, now that Gotham Knights will no longer be available on PS4 and Xbox One, do you think it's time to phase out previous gen systems? And one subset, I'm lumping these together because they're all kind of the same question. Will dropping the PS4 and Xbox One version of Gotham Knights this late in development set a trend moving forward? Here's the thing. I originally wanted to say I hope it does, but it doesn't matter because if the game was being developed for last gen, it's still a last gen game. You know what I'm saying? Like when this news broke on Thursday, I was happy about it. Like, yes, cut this shit off. Fuck last gen. Let's stick to current gen. But if we're just going to be cutting off development of games that were already being developed for last gen, we're still getting last gen games. So what's there to be happy about? I don't know, man. This whole thing stinks too, if you think about it. And the whole cutting off last gen thing, Carlos, day -0, brother. We've been saying that shit. Cut that. Like none of it. Listen, if it was up to me, obviously I don't control anything. If it's up to me, you cut that shit off at the bud, right there. We used to do that back in the day. Nobody goes, oh, I can't play my Super Nintendo games on my Nintendo 64. Motherfuckers understood. Hey, we're in a new generation. We're not playing the old shit anymore. People used to understand that.
I'll top that, Tony. I'll top that. There used to be games that they're like, hey, they're coming out December. And then they're like, nope, never mind. They're coming out for next gen. They'll see you next summer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they just straight up stole old games and put them on the new system.
Yeah, and then the thing is, even this whole cross-gen thing is a little bit of a fallacy as far as I'm concerned, because, like, they said, okay, like, for example, the Miles Morales game, put it on PS4, also on PS4, because there's more people on PS4. The game ended up selling more on PS5. There's no PS5s right now. It sold more on that. Right? And I guarantee right now, I haven't seen the sales numbers. I guarantee you, Horizon Forbidden West sold more on PS5 than did on PS4, even though there's way more PS4s out there. So I'm not even trying to hear that whole, like, oh, we need to cater to the last gen because they, there's a bigger fan base. Bullshit, because they're not buying them because they think it's a current gen game,
Well, they try, they sort of DL release them. They don't really overly push it on the previous console to let you know.
Yeah. Because how many people I've had tell me, oh, man, I wish I had a PS5 to play Horizon. I'm like, You can play it right on your PS4. They had no idea.
Like, nah.
Yeah, yeah. Either they had no
Lying,
idea.
Tony.
Either they said nah, or they said nah. I'll wait. You know.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to play on these old systems anymore. You know. So yeah, I don't know. This is the grumpy show today, man. You know. All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
The grump
When-
down.
When we have no when like there's nothing to really talk about as far as like, oh, you know, this so and so came out. We're all talking about it. Wasn't it crazy? You know, yo, Chris, remember when you got to this place and you know, and Melania and we already exhausted that talk already. It's like we got to move on to something else. But there's no parasite to take over.
Yeah, that's right. It's wild, man. Again, very little to get excited about. Moving on here, Lego Bro again. All right, why aren't more game studios making games like God of War and Uncharted? Because those games take forever to make, dude. This is what Sean Layden was talking about. If you try to make these AAA games, you're not going to be getting a lot of games because these games, I'm talking about on minimum, take 4 years to make. Minimum. They usually take longer than that. You know, that's why you're not seeing these games come out every month or even every year because it's unsustainable. You can't do that. You know.
Hold on. Why? I'm generally asked this question, like, why?
Because they take out, you know why? Because they need, they need to have like 800 people making these games or whatever. They need the actors. They need the fucking sound people. They need all the. It's basically like a Hollywood production, you know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But so was Assassin's Creed 2. And
Yeah.
I don't like
that. That was
games
last
really
gen.
that much. I know.
Yeah, they have.
Really gotten that much more difficult to make?
Yeah, apparently they have. You know.
See, I don't.
We're not game developers, you know, but I'm saying apparently because I don't know, but you know, no, I know, but I just don't want you to say no, they haven't. I just don't want you to say that. That's all.
I'm not gonna say no, they haven't. I'm just saying like I don't know that things have gotten that much more difficult. You do spend a lot of time, but a lot of that time is spent creating assets, right? Like, and we don't need to launch create a new fucking engine every time we launch a game. That's how all 3 volumes of Assassin's Creed 2 were, right? It was basically just almost this, a hair's breadth away from DLC. So like when you have something like Horizon, and then you have the second Horizon where it seems like they've just reused a lot of the assets, right? Like I realize you got mocap, and I realize you got cutscenes, but does that really take that long?
Apparently it does. You know, Manny, you know something about game development.
We're talking about fidelity. We're talking about a lot of different things. You know, 3D models don't just get instantly modeled. You know, that sort of stuff takes to do high fidelity models. That takes a lot more time than it would for a character for Assassin's Creed.
True, but once they're done, they're done. Why can't you use them for 2 games?
Well, the thing about it is like, why can't you use them for 2 games? Well, like, I thought we're just talking about developing 1 game. So
we're talking about not being able to develop these, the space between games of, the development time of 4 or 5 years. Like, if you're reusing a lot of those assets, I don't know that it necessarily has to take 4 to 5 years.
Well,
and even if you're still reusing assets, there's still a lot more that needs to be authored and recreated, and also engines that need to be adjusted. So I feel like, yeah, you can totally. I mean, even Horizon Zero Dawn itself, they've reused a bunch of animation, which probably saved them a lot of time. But at the same time, there's so much other things that need to be made.
I agree.
They redid a lot of the cinematic systems where you talk to each other. Because before people were complaining of how the secondary characters looked all janky and stupid. They fixed that. They fixed a bunch of the water physics. They did a lot of work.
I'm not saying that they didn't do things, right? Like we're kind of backing into a fallacy here. Like, here's the thing: we are automatically assuming that they are doing this as quickly as possible. We're automatically assuming that they're producing one game into another as quickly and efficiently as possible. And I'm going to say I don't think that that's happening. Even when you watch Hollywood, right? Like, you can make a trilogy by filming one movie, releasing it, filming another movie, releasing it, filming another movie, releasing it. But if you plan to make a trilogy, you start filming that shit like 3 movies back to back to back, and that shit gets out faster. So we know for a fact
Well,
that certain forms of
the-
medium
Game
can
development,
be done.
yeah. Well, game development isn't a movie development. Just getting that out there.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not saying
the
that.
one thing,
Can I finish?
Okay, go
All I'm
ahead.
saying
Yeah, go
is,
ahead.
if you're planning on releasing several games at once, I imagine there has to be a more efficient way to do it than is currently done. I don't think that is an unreasonable idea. I think what is unreasonable is assuming that they are doing this at as efficiently and quickly as possible when we have nothing to assume that that's the case.
But the thing about it, like, there's a lot of things in game development that you can't actually call for. Like, did when they originally did what was it, Horizon Zero Dawn, were they thinking about a trilogy? No, they weren't thinking about a trilogy. They're literally trying to get this thing out there so that it could become something. But if it doesn't, then you just have a one-off.
No, I agree.
think I feel like the Assassin's Creed situation when it came to 2, a lot of the stuff that worked its way into the sequels to 2, I think a lot of that stuff was just stuff that they wanted included into 2, but they couldn't. These were ideas that were already sort of semi-developed already, but were too complicated to put inside of in the original game.
I mean, but the
Those games all came a year after each other, by the way.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, so if the question is, do these games take 4 to 5 years between installments? No, not necessarily. But there are obstacles that they're doing. They're making sure that they're received well before they're even starting planning the next one.
Yeah, because you can't go in there thinking that you're immediately going to have a success, because there's a good chance you won't.
Yeah, most games, and also you got to keep this in mind. When a game comes out, the game is not finished. They're still working on it for months, sometimes years after the fact.
And then not to mention, like, okay, now let's say for the sake of conversation, all the shit that they wanted to put in that ended up in the sequels to Assassin's Creed 2 ended up in Assassin's Creed 2. You realize how much longer it would have taken that game to come out?
Yeah. And
they had to cut those things in order to hit their deadline.
So let me ask you guys the reverse then. What makes you think that they're making these games as quickly as possible?
No one said that.
Nope,
That's what the question literally is. Could they make them any faster?
Oh, no, they can't.
Yes.
Obviously, they can't, because they actually literally take 4 to 5 years. We've just seen that.
Yeah,
we've seen that. So
again,
the question kind of answers itself, like, because they clearly don't.
Games take 4 to 5 years. Therefore, they're making them as fast as possible.
No one said that. No one said that.
Okay, then I'm asking you the direct question, Tony. Why do you think that these games can't be made faster? And don't tell me because they take 4 to 5 years to develop.
Because you have to Manny literally just answered the shit for you. Did you not hear what he said?
Manny told me a lot of things that take time in games, yes, but not necessarily that lead up to 4 to 5 years. Here's where my logic comes from, right? You have a game that you can build from the ground up in 4 to 5 years, right? Okay, so if you're reusing some of those assets, tell me why the next game takes the same amount of time that it did to make. If you're making half the stuff, why is it still taking the same amount of goddamn time? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
It actually does, because think about it. Like, let's just say a game takes 4 to 5 years, which we've seen happen, right? These games come out maybe during the middle of the generation. What happens 5 years later? Oh, there's a new system coming out. Oh, we got to pivot to this thing now. Now we got to relearn a whole new thing. Yes, that's happened.
We're not talking
Brett,
about cross-generation.
No, I'm giving you an actual real-world scenario here. That's what happens.
You're giving me the exception to the rule.
No, I'm giving you what actually happens, dude.
Okay, so
I'm telling you what actually happens.
Assassin's Creed 2.
No, right? It's not bringing up Assassin's Creed. The game's like fucking 12 years old. A game that's like 720p compared to something that's 4K, that's a whole different animal, dude.
Okay,
that's
but
what
about 2 games released in the same generation, Tony? Because not all games are released across generations span. Okay.
I think I may have like some answers that will help Brett out.
Please do. So, because think about it like this: when you had 3 Uncharted games on PS3, and then 1 on PS4, that kind of shows you these things are getting more difficult to develop, dude.
Okay, let me.
Okay,
the reason that they get more difficult to develop is because the assets they are creating are more complex.
Yes.
All right.
And the worlds are bigger too, The
worlds are bigger too, yes. So if you are utilizing the same assets it should then take time off of the production.
Clearly, it doesn't.
No, because you just seem unable to kind of comprehend the idea that maybe they don't lead right next in directly into the next game.
I just told you they don't. You don't fucking listen. I just told you this. When the game is done, they keep working on the game. They don't just immediately start working on the next one. We just told you this.
They're not, again, they're not thinking that for Horizon Zero Dawn, they're not thinking that there's going to be a Horizon Zero Dawn 2. They're thinking only that Horizon Zero Dawn is a one-off. If that does successful and they get green light for the second one, then they start working on the second one. They're not doing these things where if for an Assassin's Creed sort of idea to work, they would need to cut the budget on the following titles, which they did, in order to get them to a certain point, and then hand off and also not to mention the sequels to Assassin's Creed 2 were also hand off to lesser studios at Ubisoft. So the original team that made the Assassin's Creed 2 wasn't doing 2 and what was it, Revelations and Brotherhood. It was another team.
So you're kind of answering my question for me that yes, they can be done quicker if they're developed in parallel. But let me pose it this way. Let me pose
if they had multiple teams, yes, you can apparently speed up the process if one studio is handling the first game and then another studio is handling the other game. But again,
opposite is true. One studio can handle multiple games, right? Like you have Bethesda. They made Fallout, and then they make an Elder Scrolls, and then they make a Fallout. Could they make Fallout, and come out with them quicker? Yes, they could. But they're not trying to make as many Fallouts back to back as possible. Their team works on other projects. And when a project is done, after they release it, after they get done working on it, after they release it, they don't always start into a sequel immediately. That team then gets put on another project, which isn't a direct sequel to the previous game. It's not another Last of Us necessarily. So yes, you can change the structure of development. So as soon as they're done with Last of Us 1 and done patching it after release, they can then start on Last of Us 2. Hell, you could have people bridging that development cycle so they're working on the next one as soon as they're finishing the first one, right?
The thing about it is that usually that stuff doesn't come right away. When you get greenlit for another game, it doesn't happen like an instant.
But the question isn't, does it usually? The question is it possible to make these games faster?
I would say it would depend on the project.
Yeah,
because game development is a nebulous process. We have heard situations where a studio has been working on a game, and then have to totally throw throw all of their work out and then start over again. It's not like we're not. A lot of this stuff is not. This shit is not set in stone. So again, you at least need time to essentially, to fuck up and then get things back on the course again. It's a long process, and especially not to mention all the different assets that need to be done, all the upgrades to the systems, all this other sort of stuff that needs to be done on top of it. Games are getting longer because there's more demand for what's in these games, the content. If you were to just say Horizon Zero Dawn is essentially Horizon 2 is just essentially Horizon 1, but with the mountains reversed, which you're suggesting they should do, that's not a sequel. That's DLC.
I feel like you guys are circling over the same, same thing. You guys are agreeing. Just to answer Brett's question, yes, theoretically you can make a sequel game as quicker than the original one. Obviously, you have to. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. Like, yeah, you can't guarantee that. That's the whole point. Like they don't make games like we have 3 in the pipeline. Like it's more studios are game to game now. It's like, we're making a Tomb Raider game. Is it our last one? We don't know. We'll see how the Tomb Raider that comes out is gonna do. That's why you can't work on 2 Tomb Raiders at the same time, or like they did Assassin's Creed. They're like, we're making these 3 games. It was pretty much set in stone before even the first Assassin's Creed 2 came out.
So you're thinking that they hadn't greenlit Dad of War 2 when Dad of War 1 was made?
They didn't.
They weren't planning on making a sequel until it was a success.
They
wasn't
left it
greenlit.
ambiguous.
Yeah, they left it ambiguous. They didn't grant. Remember, with games, it's not like movies. Where movies, if they're successful, the one weekend they come out, they're immediately greenlit. With games, it's
I thought it was
they're a little
greenlit
bit.
previous to release.
Not yet. They didn't
I thought
announce
it was
that.
always intended to be a multi-title project.
Nope. They said that maybe after the fact, but not. They never said that initially. Because again, game developers don't want to. Most of the time, because there have been exceptions. Obviously, with Mass Effect, they literally said we got this trilogy coming. Most of the time, they don't want to lock themselves into anything because they don't know if the next game's going to come or not. Understand?
Well, but here's the thing: they do that, but now what they do is they do season passes, and they do what fucking Assassin's Creed Valhalla did, right? Like they can generate content that quickly and that fast, and just keep padding it up. But they found that microtransactions are more profitable than individual serialized titles.
Yeah,
I
it's just
think there are lots of real world problems that stop this from happening. I'm just saying to think that they're working at 100% efficiency is just unrealistic.
Yeah, no one's saying that though. No one's saying that.
there's I feel like video games are not as much of a factory as they used to. The thing, you can make, for example, just to put into Brett's point, Miles Morales is a close example. Obviously, it's more of a DLC game than is a AAA game, but they could have definitely made Miles Morales give an extra year of development time and come up with something almost as close to what the Spider-Man game was, and take probably half the time. But
And I
but
mean,
that's
Miles
just not how
Morales
it works.
Miles Morales also did come out relatively quickly, but again,
Yeah.
It's
using
a small
all the
game.
same
Yeah,
assets.
same
Using
asset,
all the
small
same-
game. Yeah.
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 With the only slight exception is that they developed Harlem a little bit more than the previous one.
I would
They
say
got
though,
that.
like
They
think about this: if they did release of Last of Us every year, do you not think that would damage the brand? Like I imagine the time between them is. They know what they're doing. Giving the brand time to settle down.
You're asking the wrong people that question.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, Brett, you're asking the group that says releasing The Last of Us 2 was damaging the brand.
Anyway, we're going in circles right now, so let's move on to the next question here. Actually, no, Brian, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I have a couple points. So I think the first thing that Brett may not be onto is the fact that games are an iterative process. So, like, the ideas that you start the game off with aren't like maybe 20%, 30%, 40% of those ideas actually make it to like the end process or the end product. So there's all that process like in between where people say yes, no, things come in, things go out, things are liked, things are not liked, and well, things come in, they go out, they come in again and go out. So I think that also part of the problem of making games is that people don't actually know what they want until they actually see it and say yes and no to it. So
No,
I think that also eats up that time frame because again, it's just how things are. Like unless people absolutely know exactly what they want, a la Miles Morales, then that time will just be chalked up to okay, we just have to keep trying until we get this right. And also, and again, this isn't every studio, but I've seen it with DICE because ex developers have commented on this. You also need to understand there's also the people behind making the games as well. If they aren't the original team, if they're like a new team or a team that's not experienced, then yeah, that can cause problems. Again, sorry.
I said all these can take time. The only thing I don't understand is it's not that I don't understand it. The only thing I don't understand is how people think that doing a project with the assets not created takes as much time as doing a project with the assets already created. That's the whole point of developing assets is they can be reused and they save time.
Yep, that's true. But then it's also everything else around it.
Yeah, well, no, but everything else being the same, right? Like if they don't redesign everybody's costume, then they don't need to get concept art for everybody's costume again, right? They don't need to mocap everybody's motions again. There's just less work. There are things that they do that make it so like I'm not saying it takes half the amount of time, but there are things that if you look at them, you're like, yes, that is a time-saving method. And if you fold a bunch of time-saving methods into a project, you save time. There's no other way that's how time works.
think you're assuming that the other work is also going to be of the same level to
Yeah, I was
some
just about to
degree.
say that. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
you may have saved time on something you had previously done, but what about all the other things they're adding into
if you
it?
if you are updating and overhauling, absolutely that can even out. But I'm saying you don't necessarily always have to update and overhaul if you're releasing every fucking year. Call of Duty doesn't necessarily do a full overhaul every year.
By the way, Call of Duty games actually take about 3 or 4 years to make. It's just to have 2 or 3 studios working on them, so they come out every year. But the games actually still take a long time to make individually. Just keep that in
Yeah.
mind.
Three-
And
three years.
they're literally
I mean,
reusing the
let
same
me
shit.
use Fallout for example. Fallout 76 did not take as long as Fallout 4 did because they just stole all the stuff that was used to make Fallout 4 and cobbled it together to make a new game.
Yeah, and look
That's
at
why it took so much time.
look at the results. You know.
I mean, other than the fact that it was glitchy, like that did save them time on development.
Yeah,
I mean, the
but
people weren't necessarily happy because they expected it to be a full overhaul, which I don't know why they expected that. But if you're doing like, and that's why I used Assassin's Creed 2. Like, it's a very specific example because all three of those games didn't really change between those games. They were just one game spread out over 3 titles. There was no major overhaul or advancement or generational shift that came between them, right? So if we wanted to make a Last of Us episodic game, they could release it annually. Would it
Yeah.
be damaging to the brand? Yeah, absolutely. Are they afraid that they can't catch lightning in a bottle a third time? I'd argue that they didn't a second time. And so I think there are other factors at play here, but I think it's important to note that it's not that they can't make it faster, because that starts the conversation about, well, what are these other factors? Are they afraid that they're going to come out with a bad story and not have the same success? Are they afraid that they don't know what their title should be? Are they afraid it's not going to be successful, so they don't want to invest money into it right away? But if you don't recognize the fact that, using pre-made assets short development time, then you can't have any of those discussions. They're not even on the table.
Yeah, but again, I'm just saying that's just part of it. There's other factors to consider. Also, gamer expectations. The next game needs to be bigger and better than the last one. Like back in the day, it was just okay for the first 3 Uncharted games to be exactly the same. People are going to tolerate that anymore. They want the next game to be bigger and better than the last one, and that takes a lot more development, a lot more bug testing, a lot more asset, a lot everything.
Do they expect that if it's an annual title though?
They do. Gamers are very picky people. They want it all. They want it all.
See, I think I think annual titles have a different set of
Yeah,
criteria.
but you know what, Brett? I'll give you that. But annual titles are not these kind of titles. These big AAAs. People expect them to take a little bit longer. Back in the day, they used to come out every 2 years, right? So they were never annual type of games. Those are a different animal.
I just want to agree with what's been said here. I think the problem here isn't the amount of time it takes to make a game. I think the problem here is the amount of money it takes to make a game. So nobody is going to greenlight all of this work and all of these simultaneous studios to, why have 3 studios working on a game so that you can release 3 titles back to back to back when you could have one, release it, put that team on another project, see how the previous thing fares, and then use that money to drive back into the sequel. It's not as time efficient. It's safer money wise.
Yeah, and no one's saying the game development is efficient. It clearly is
Well,
not.
there are a lot of people
no.
saying that it just takes forever to make a game. Well, no, that's not the actual problem here. There are real world problems that make it take forever to make a game, but that's not the whole discussion. That's all I'm saying here.
Yeah. All right. Move on.
Then that can also
What's
be
up,
seen
Brian?
as
Last thing,
a-
because again, we got more questions. I don't want to keep
Yeah.
belaboring this.
Then that can also be seen as a frustration that games take forever to make because, again, they're just taking a long time. So, in essence, it's a critique on the idea that the process of game development is not as efficient as it should be.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
More
that's how
like
I
as
interpret
I don't think.
it
I don't
might-
think. I don't think. Yeah, I said might be. I don't think you can make it more streamlined because, again,
Oh,
unlike
I
what
think
some
you
people
definitely
say, games are art. Art is sloppy. It's just the way things are going to be. And then obviously, you have these fucking, the too many cooks in a kitchen scenario.
Yeah.
Yep, that too.
That's a problem. And then when you have 800 people I'm not even exaggerating with this number. 800 people making one game. It's going to take a while to communicate and all that across different countries and all this other shit. There's a lot of factors going in.
You have 800 people that's supposed to make things a little bit easier. You could spread it, like assembly line, you could spread it between people, but not not communication. It's more like the idea that because they have to be responsible for something bigger than that was the last time. You know.
Yeah. All right.
I think
Yeah.
it's always just anytime you want to make these worlds a lot bigger, the more time you want to add more story content, the more time you're adding more development time.
Yep. It's just how it is. All right. Moving on here. Last couple. As we still got a decent amount here. Jay Shep, who's been joining us all night. All right. First question: do you foresee third-party day and date titles increasing or decreasing on Game Pass in the future? And how vital are third-party day and date games for Game Pass's continued success?
Increasing.
You think? Yeah, they're going to have to because they don't have any first parties. You know.
Yeah, I think they're going to start making those sorts of deals now. Making day and date, third-party deals. Now, obviously Phil said he's not cool with just locking things down, but that doesn't mean he can't just lock it down for the Game Pass scenario.
Yeah.
So
I think it's going to start taking after the tech sector, man.
And then I also think a lot of the other thing is, again, I think you'll also see a lot more indie developers, put on day and date on there as well, just to pad out all of the pad out the releases.
I think
Where now you have a big game and then you have a bunch of small games to sort of support it. Kind of like the way normal game development is now, right?
Yeah.
You have a big old game and then you got a lot of small ones in there.
Pretty much. So yeah, it's going to increase. They're going to they have to. They don't have any first parties. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think they'll make a decent deal. Even if it's just the for the first week of release.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. Go ahead, Brett. Go ahead.
I think the industry is going to change a little bit. I think we're going to start to see more like the tech industry, where you're launching ideas and projects that are being bought out. It's a lot safer for everybody if you do it that way. I mean, if you think about it, okay, so I want to make a game, right? So I make a game, put a bunch of money into it, and then my goal here is to try and catch Microsoft's eye or Sony's eye or somebody's eye. They want to put it on their platform, right? So I'm trying to catch their eye. If I do, I get extra funding. I put that back into the game. I release it, and I get guaranteed funding. So I'm not now, playing with money. I'm not taking that risk, and that's one of the big things about the industry is games are kind of fucking a risky endeavor. So when you kind of take away some of that risk, it's going to really incentivize developers, specifically indie developers, to kind of go along with this. And for the big companies, they get to go along and kind of see what's already working, and then cherry pick it out in its infancy and kind of bring it to the forefront without having to spend all that time and kind of R&D. They're not paying people to sit around and think about what kind of games they can make next. They're already kind of being handed working prototypes and just investing in them. So it's kind of a win-win, and I think we're going to start to see game companies trying to get bought up.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that where Game Pass becomes kind of like an intern for Microsoft, where like as a solo dev or small dev team, you make a game, you put on Game Pass, and if it's good enough on Game Pass and Microsoft likes it, then maybe they'll put you in the fold. So I can definitely see that as a thing going forward. So then everyone's like, okay, let's try to get on Game Pass to get our way into Microsoft, so we get bought up by Microsoft. It's a possibility.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I looked at it. We got a tryout, guys. Let's bring out the best game we can.
All right. This one's interesting, and I don't know how to ask this without asking it, so I'm just going to ask it. Jay Shep, how old are you? I think you may be a younger gamer, which is fine, but this also gives us a chance to help you learn about some gaming history. Obviously, if you don't want to say your age, that's fine. You don't have to. But I'm guessing you're more. I'm guessing you're in your early 20s. Just based off of this question specifically. All right, and let me finish the question, guys, because I know someone's going to go, whoa, hold on. We've had conversations about how this generation is in feel, quote unquote, next gen. Has there ever been a conversation? Again, let me finish this question, guys. Has there ever been a conversation about 3D gaming? The consumer would have to purchase a 3D TV and glasses, I assume, but is something like that even possible? This isn't a hypothetical. We lived through this shit, and it fucking crashed. 3D gaming, they tried to make it a thing. Oh, buy this TV with 3D. By the way, I blame Avatar for this shit. Starting this nonsense. Remember that? Everything had to be 3D movies, 3D TVs, 3D games. All that shit
Avatar
fucking
was the only thing
bombed.
that actually did it well.
That's the only one. And then
3D prawns.
everybody tried that, you know? Yeah, remember 3DS? And they got to the point where it's like, you just turn the slider off. It's like, by the time that shit came out, everybody stopped giving a fuck about 3D. So it has been tried, and it bombed spectacularly, you know? It was just nothing but a gimmick.
Yeah, in
Yep,
fact,
yeah.
PlayStation did to coincide with the 3D TVs. There were actually a few PlayStation 3 games that actually had the 3D ability that worked with the special glasses.
Yep.
That you would buy for them.
Uncharted,
Yep,
yeah.
did
Uncharted.
Uncharted have it? Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, you can look at
Killzone 3?
there are actually quite a bit of PlayStation games that had a little 3D logo on the bottom, bottom right.
Yeah,
You see how you would-
Sony pushed that shit hard because they were selling those TVs.
They
You
were
know?
selling
Wait.
the TVs.
Do you
I
guys
have a
remember how?
On my TV?
Do you guys remember how they worked? Like, for our
Oh,
listeners,
Brett, to answer how they work like shit.
No. Okay, so it kind of for those of you who haven't tried it, kind of imagine that you could look at a screen, right, and see a perfectly three-dimensional kind of like hard light realized hologram, right? Now imagine somebody came up and hit you in the back of the head with a brick so you couldn't focus your eyes. That's what 3D TV looked like.
I mean, it wasn't a bad effect. I mean, it used a lot of the same tech, where the different polarized eyes that
Wait,
flickered
the
at a
ones with
different
glasses or the in without?
The ones with glasses.
With glasses.
Oh yeah, those were bad. The ones without were fucking.
No, in fact there weren't really any TVs that were sold without glasses-less 3D. In fact,
I
I
remember
think
that
the only
bullshit. Yeah.
In fact, the only monitor that ever did it were PC monitors that were a few years old,
And the 3DS.
and the 3DS. Yes.
I remember
for
one
the
of my,
most part, they
the old Asus monitor I was using before, the one I have here, even had a little 3D logo on it, you know?
Yes, so you could use the glasses with it because it had to be able to display the two different frequencies.
Remember you used to get those
image.
3D glasses in the cereal boxes when you were a kid and shit, you know? It's
Well,
like-
Those things were dope.
Well, it's funny because like the modern 3D glasses, there are two different two different polarized images, and the way the film works is that it essentially flashes two images that are only revealed by one different eye that has a different polarization to it.
I remember on the NES, Rad Racer came with 3D glasses,
Mm-hmm.
and you could play that but it looked terrible. Like how it's like Brett said, it's like somebody hits you in the head and your like eyes are out of focus. It's like, oh, this looks terrible.
Like 20 minutes into it, you're like, my God, it was like fucking the
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Drunken Guardian. My man's talking about the Virtual Boy. Yeah, remember
we go.
that
Yeah,
bullshit?
like trying to watch the version. God, that thing made you.
Remember, like, you couldn't see the red spectrum or something if you used it.
Yeah. Damn.
Yo.
Yeah, like you used it too long, just fucked everything. Like everything looked fucking green, and you couldn't focus on it. Your eyes hurt. You had to lay down after like 20 minutes. Everything about it was awful. But here's the big answer. I think there are no applications for it.
No.
Avatar kind of proved this. Like before Avatar and after Avatar, people use 3D to be like, oh, it's leaping out of the screen at you. Like you get like 2 feet off the screen, maybe, and nobody really understands how to utilize that effect, that distance well. Like Avatar dropped things back and used really intentional focusing techniques, and so it worked there. But even if you got 3D to work perfectly, it doesn't do anything. Right? Like, it doesn't actually add a third dimension. It just kind of makes shit pop off a screen.
Yeah.
Okay, just for the fun of it, I actually found the list of 3D compatible games.
Oh, God. Let's go.
For PlayStation 3. All right, so Assassin's Creed Revelations, Batman Arkham City, Call of Duty Black Ops, Captain America Super Soldier.
Oh, my God.
First 2, the video game, Child of Eden, Crisis 2, the Blob Underground, the Blob 2 Underground. Never heard of that.
I remember that Blob. Yeah.
Dungeon Defenders, Dynasty Warriors 7,
Hey.
Enslaved, Journey to the West.
Oh,
Actually,
wow.
It was actually via an update, so they had an update that did it. iPet Friends, fight Lights Out, Gran Turismo 5, Eco and Shadow, the Colossus collections, and these are things that actually a lot of these are actually ones that actually had that little thing on the UC
On the
3D
box, yeah.
compatible on the box. Resistance 3, Ridge Racer, and there is a bunch of stuff on here.
Yeah, you don't need to do some more, but
Thor: God of Thunder.
Oh God,
Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception.
Uncharted 3D, yeah. This was a big thing during the PS3 era, and it fizzled out. It was crap. So no, that is not coming back. Please don't come back with that bullshit.
Also,
you know?
James Cameron's Avatar the game has it.
Let's
obviously,
hilarious. All right, man. Okay, so this isn't. I'm not adding this as an official question, but I'm going to toss it in there because I need to break this down. Some little fallacies in here. Okay. Is it possible that Microsoft was aware of Starfield's delay earlier in the year, 2022, I'm assuming earlier in the year, and released Xbox Series X consoles ahead of schedule in anticipation of the lack of holiday AAA games? If that's the case, would you be okay with that? All right, let's back it up here. All right. Xbox Series X came out in 2020. This is before the Bethesda deal, right? Then after the Bethesda deal, we got the reveal date of Starfield, right? Obviously, Microsoft knew about Starfield's delay this year, but I would say it was made perhaps a month at most ago. So I don't understand how them releasing the Xbox in 2020 is them.
No, I think it might production.
Yeah, it's okay. So maybe I misunderstood this question.
Yeah, he's saying, did they up production to get more Xboxes into the wild before releasing the news of Starfield's delay?
I would ask. Well, no, obviously, but I would ask, how would they get more into production when there's a chip shortage? It's not like they can do it.
I thought they did increase production earlier this year.
I think
it was only on
the S,
on the S, which is the GIMP version.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's just ability. Like, if they were able to kick into higher production, they were like, there's not a guy in a business suit sitting around being like, no, don't tell them. Let's sell more Xboxes first. Like, they honestly don't care. I don't think anybody needs to care. They don't stay on the shelves very long.
Yeah. All right. Now that I understand the question, no, I don't believe that's what happened. That's very conspiratorial. So no. All right, and then by the way, J Shep, if you have extra questions, we'll do like a sponsor thing like we usually do. But yeah, generally it's 2 questions, but you know that now. But I am just going through these just because you're a first timer here, which is great, you know. Yeah, yes, of course. And then this question, he also asked us, what do we want to see of a possible? Because there's apparently rumors that PlayStation's going to have their own show during quote unquote E3, and what do we want to see? This is a rumor, so we're not going to even delve into that. I don't think they're doing anything, so we're not going to delve into that. That's just a rumor.
I can answer that real quick. Games.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it'd be nice if they have games.
From everybody.
I want to see
games.
Yeah, we want to see games. There you go. That's my answer.
I want to see games. I want to see games, and I want to see games that are coming out in pretty soon, not 4 or 5 years in the future.
Yeah. In other words, yeah, Sony's not going to show anything. I guarantee you that.
Yeah,
they have nothing. They don't have anything.
I would love, man. I love that what happened with Horizon Zero Dawn. They show you gameplay, and then not long after they release the game, right?
Yeah.
They just showed you two. They showed you 2 gameplay trailers, and then that was it. They're like, "Oh, game's coming."
By the way,
Zero Dawn like teased for like 2 years or something.
What happened, Brian?
Wasn't like Zero Dawn teased for like 2 years?
Well, no, they showed like a gameplay thing initially, and then there was another thing after that. Then the game came out, so it wasn't too bad.
No, I think you're both right, and I think it's funny because that's where Starfield is right now. Everybody knows they haven't really showed the gameplay trailer yet, though.
Yeah, they're showing concept art. By the way, yes, I saw the Silent Hill rumors again. I said this before. I am not paying attention to any of that bullshit until it's actually official. I'm sick of it for years.
Ask a question to the panel.
Yeah.
Why hasn't anybody made this fucking game yet? I don't even care. Like, just somebody make the game.
Oh, I could answer this for you. I could answer.
Who owns the game?
By the way, Brett,
Quiet Mound or something like that.
I'm going to answer the question with one word. Konami.
Dude, okay, make it like I said, Quiet Mound, the video game. I don't fucking care. Like, it can pull a From Software situation and be like, yeah, this is a Demon Souls. It's Dark Souls. See,
Yeah, I'm just saying Konami. That's why you're not getting it. It's
Konami couldn't stop them from making a likeness game from a
No, I'm saying Konami.
that has a likeness.
I'm saying Konami isn't willing to make this game. That's
Yeah,
what
They
no,
weren't
that's what
willing
I'm
to
saying.
make it when Kojima was there.
exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Why hasn't somebody? Well, first of all, why isn't Kojima? And maybe if Kojima doesn't,
He can't.
Like, why has?
Remember, Konami owns it. Konami owns the IP. Remember that.
Yeah, they own Silent Hill, right? Like they own. I guarantee you could not come out and sue somebody for a likeness to a game that never released. There's no standing there, right? Like Konami cannot hold on to and sue people for imitating a game that never released, never made money, never had any way to generate income or any planned way to generate income. It's not an asset.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. If you're talking about why hasn't someone imitated, we've had some indie people imitate the game. If that's what you mean.
I'm not talking about indie people. Yeah. I'm talking about like there is. You want to talk about like games we don't know if they're going to hit or not. Like how loud do your customers need to fucking scream before somebody makes this fucking game? And I think it's indicative of developers thinking that they're telling customers what they want. I mean, we saw this when the people started bitching about Elden Ring. Like, no, you can't give your customers choice. Like, I kind of think that people aren't listening to their customer base enough, and somebody needs to make this fucking game.
Yeah, it's Konami. Those they don't know what the hell they're doing anymore. They don't care.
Kojima, come on, Kojima.
Kojima can't do anything either.
Oh, that your ego likes the applause and the God complex. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying you're the Trent Reznor of video games. But like, you know that you like the fanfare and attention, so just make the fucking video game and be a god in these people's eyes. And that's why all you have to do is be like, Kojima, horror game.
Yeah, but I think but again, the rumor is that the Bloober team, whatever the fuck their name, they're the ones making this game. That's the rumor right now. But again, rumor, we're not going to delve into that.
One of these rumors are eventually going to prove true.
Yeah, we'll see.
40 of them don't.
Check the NVIDIA leaks, that's the other thing that's been proven correct so far.
Just don't get excited about stuff that hasn't been announced yet.
Pretty much. All right, go ahead.
Oh, my favorite rumor about Silent Hills is that, well, all I'm going to say is that the first chapter, it's called Abandoned.
Oh, shit.
Apparently.
Oh, my God. All right,
Again,
man.
Rumors.
Yeah, rumors. Yeah. All right, last two questions. One subset. Is BioWare just trying to get attention for Mass Effect 5 for saying that Shepard will be returning, or was that an honest mistake in wording? Apparently, there was something I admittedly don't know much about this, but I read what IGN statement says, and apparently BioWare came out to say there was a mistake with the marketing team or whatever. This is what they had to say. The original description was written by the people who run the store and aren't familiar with the game, because they kind of said Shepard will return, some shit like that, It was a poster for Mass Effect 5, which is weird because Mass Effect 4 is not even out yet. Oh, wait, no, wait. Andromeda's 4, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
So wait, they're just not bringing Shepard back?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Shepard's gone.
Man, they're making poor choices just right out the gate.
Yeah, but
I
go ahead.
actually disagree. I think it's a good choice. Like let him die. He had his trilogy, he had his games, he had his story. Move on. Like this is the same issue I have with God of War. Like they're told the God of War OG games, like 1, 2, and 3, and the 2 Vita games or PSP games, they told Kratos' story, and that's fine. That's the end of it. Tell a different story. You can't keep dragging the same character through all these stories. It just kind of makes things worse. It's kind of like the MCU. Like if you keep dragging the same character through all these stories, you end up with stories in the future that don't make sense. I mean, why the hell are we having another Thor film where Thor needs to find himself? Like that's his last 3 films. Stop doing that. Again, the same thing with God of War. It's like everyone's like, oh yeah, Kratos now has compassion for his kids. It's like, did you not play the first 3? Like he also had compassion for his kids. That's the whole point of the first 3 games. Is that he wanted to get away from that because he felt so bad.
But Shepard is the Master Chief. Shepard is the high watermark of being able to place a character that is both character created or user created and story driven into a game. People's Shepards are very personal to them. because they've made them and they've cultivated them across several games. So even if you say, "Oh, Shepard died," and you're a clone, I think people still want to play their Shepard because their Shepard is a representation of them. And yes, normally dragging a character through that many games, absolutely, it does dull the story. But when people kind of assume the identity of their character, the problem is that person's mind, they're like, I'm Shepard, I'm in the 4th game, I'm here, why is my character not here? I've been dragged through 4 games. I don't know if they necessarily want to create and identify with a new character. And that's where I think the problem is. Master Chief, one thing, God of War, Kratos, another thing. But everybody makes their own Shepard. Shepard doesn't actually have a face or a form or a shape or a voice. Well, a voice,
Yeah.
yes.
But then he or she had his story, and that's what I'm getting at. It's like, at what point do you just let the character have their story and end it? Because again, this is my biggest problem with like games that just drag out like that. It's like they have their stories. The stories are fine. They're good. The more you add to it, the worse it gets. Because then you just end up either retreading old ground or doing retcons, which no one likes, and then just end up with a big pile of trash.
Yeah, I'm with Brian on this
Let
one.
the story just-
Shepard had his story. He's done. Let's get somebody else now.
Tony, you didn't make your Shepard. You don't give a
No,
shit.
yeah, I don't, because my Shepherd, I don't have one. It's the guy in the box, So, but the thing is, in general, it's like that story's done. Okay, if you have to be whoever, be the new person. Then there you go. We're moving on. That's it. That story's over. Let's move on to something else. I just hope it's not another Andromeda. That's my main concern.
I feel like, and I do generally agree with Tony and Brian, but I feel Shepard is more like a Captain Kirk type figure, or or Commander Pike, or whoever the new captain's going to be of the ship. It's like it's just we're not too invested into his characterization in these games. It's more just the journey, the overall journey, that's more intriguing. So, unlike Kratos and God of War, which his story is essentially the crux of, why he's doing and why things are going the way they're going. And so even if they do Shepard, I feel like it doesn't really add much or negate much if he's not there. More inconsequential. Shepard is just being used as a name at this point because he's always been more of a template.
Yeah.
You make the decisions anyways, so it's like, what story are you really telling?
I'll be honest, though, after Andromeda, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm done.
I've been done with BioWare for a decade, it
Yeah.
seems like, at this point.
I'm done. All right. Moving on here. Last question of the night. Sponsored question by a very generous fella named Ramudeth. He is sponsoring Mob Hits. So, by the way, circling back to what we were talking about, what happened to the hashtag fuck Konami movement that was going on? Looks like it never happened ever since this weekend. Was this a new thing? This is old. That's old as fuck, Mob Hits. So, did something new happen this weekend? If something did, please let me know. Was it over this Silent Hill thing? You got to understand, when it comes to the weekend, I check the fuck out. No news for me.
Yeah.
I check the fuck out.
I think most of it just sort of like, whatever.
Like I have to be on Twitter during the whole week for work. On the weekend, no. So I see some stuff here and there, but nothing like this. So I can't answer this question. I don't know what happened. I don't think anybody else did either. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you can talk on the basic point, can't you? I mean, the fuck Konami.
We talked about this like 5 years ago when the original hashtag came out. Like, they're not releasing Metal Gear, they're not releasing Silent Hill, they're not releasing any of the games you want.
Yeah, Mob Hit's saying this because of the rumors.
Oh, whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm so tired of hearing rumors Silent Hill's coming. Rumored Metal Gear Solid 1 is being remade. I'm tired of it. So
What is Konami even still doing?
They're nothing. They're releasing collections. They're releasing collections. That's it.
Well, you also got to remember the pachinko business is a different business than their video game business. By the way.
But yeah, they're releasing collections. At least with the video game side, obviously.
Yeah, right now they're just sort of looking through their legacy, and to be honest, some of the re-releases haven't been that bad.
No, they've been fine.
You
But
know,
they're clearly
they're,
Manny, to use your favorite term, toe dipping, to see if they want to get back into gaming after abandoning it for a while. Abandoning it? Oh.
Yeah, I did. I don't think, I mean, they're developing these things, but to develop these, I would only say the biggest, probably the most significant amount of money they probably spent, and I know this for a fact as a person who worked on the franchise for Ninja Turtles.
Flex.
I think that they definitely spent some serious money trying to untangle all the bullshit that has to do with their games and the Ninja Turtles franchise. That's why you're all getting them all at fucking once. Even
Duplicates.
even the duplicates of those games that were on different consoles, because it was different. Like back in the day when we wanted them to release all that sort of stuff, but there was just so much shit that had to be solved that they couldn't do it. Like as far as the licensing of the music, all this red tape. So they obviously spent some. I know they probably spent some serious money on on just trying to untangle all that bullshit to get that game out. Hopefully it does well for them.
All I say is, you know me these days, right? I full on digital. I'm buying this shit physical because I don't trust this shit. I remember what happened with that last Turtles game, the Ubisoft one. No. We ain't going through that again, So, yeah, I think that's the show. Another good one, fiery one. I always like the fire. That's why we're called Throwdown,
Hold on, I'm going to try and channel Brian real quick. It's my turn. How can you stay mad at a company if you forget they exist?
Oh. He's right, though. Oh, man. Anyway, plugs. I'm going to start with Carlos first. Do you have anything to plug?
I don't know. Yeah, we talked. We had a podcast over Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and we had that at thecoalition.com, the Coalition on YouTube. It was Dana, Mr. Richard Bailey Jr., Gary Swaby, Chris, and myself. And interesting thing about this podcast, I'm not gonna let you know what my thoughts are, but I will say that I feel like this is the most lockstep me and Chris have been on a review for a movie. Out of all the ones we've done, and for TV as well. So yeah, make sure to check that out. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, interesting movie. We had a lot to say about it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Check out I Am Negan for Adam and Rich also. They're still talking about the Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, by the way, shout out to Richard Bailey Jr., man. He was on Throwdown the last episode. Very good stuff. Yeah. By the way, Carlos, I just imagine you and Chris, like the Men on Film, hated it.
Oh, man.
All right, anyway, man, do you have anything to plug?
Nothing to plug, but just a small thank you to folks who decided to show up at the Phillipsburg Comic Con. That's a local Comic Con in Phillipsburg, New Jersey, which I was invited to. It was a nice little con that was local con that was run by the local high school, and they invited me, and I figured, why not? Wasn't a friend of mine, grew up in that neighborhood. That's literally his high school. So I figured when they asked me, I just, what? Why not? Let's go. And they were really accommodating, really nice. They gave me all kinds of fun little things, knickknacks and things that were made by the community. So it was really cool. Definitely would like to go back again for next year. So yeah, and other than that, also just a little heads up, I will be at C2E2 coming this August. So if you're in the Chicago area, I will have a table. Don't know what the table assignment is, but I'll let you know.
Nice. Brett, do you have anything to plug, sir?
Yes. Again, I will be at the Villain Arts Kansas City Tattoo Expo this weekend, of the 20th, Friday through Sunday.
Nice.
I have a question for you, Brett.
Take pictures, man. Take pictures.
Yeah, probably.
You motherfucker. Take the pictures.
What's up?
Have you ever met a tattoo artist who's never had a tattoo themselves?
Yes, and I fucking hate them.
Oh,
everybody does.
That's what I was to talk about before after the show. I gotta hear this.
No. No, that's fine. Here's the beauty of my industry. Nobody gives a shit. So we can say whatever we want. So yeah, any tattoo artist that doesn't have any tattoos, fuck you. Everybody hates you.
Man.
He's like, I only draw on other people, not on myself.
Yeah, well, you know, like customers don't trust them. Other tattoo artists don't like them. They have this like, and the weird thing is like, if they do kind of stay with no tattoos, first of all, you don't know what you're fucking doing to somebody, and the attitude that comes with it. It's like they're a fucking vegan of tattoos. Like you're too good to get a tattoo, but you're willing to hand them down to us fucking plebeians. And they're always some kind of sort of stupid fucking hipster too. Like there's everything about them is distasteful and unlikable.
Oh man, we learned something tonight. All right. Yeah, right. That was good. All right, we're done here. So make sure you follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter. Join the Discord where the conversations are always popping, the rumors are always flying. Make some mob hits. You know, we are on every podcast app on the planet. Throwdown Show, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google. We're on all that shit, man.
The Happy Place.
Yeah, Happy Place. What are some of the other ones? Podbean, is that a thing? I think we're probably on there.
Podbean, yeah.
You know,
there's the Indian one that
yeah,
we're
the
in
Indian
as well.
one. Yeah, that's right. We're all over the place, man. We're literally in places we don't even know about. You know, because once you're on one, you kind of get picked up by all the other ones.
Yeah, and we're also on YouTube.
Yeah, we are on YouTube. You know, if you're watching us on YouTube and you're using the content, hit like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. It all helps. You know, even dislike it doesn't matter. It all helps on YouTube, you know. And yeah, links to everything down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Brett Murdoch.
Deuces.
And Brian Majoma.
Like clockwork, video games are being blamed.
Of course.
Oh, boy.
Man. All right, people. We'll see you on Thursday. Stay safe out there, man. Peace out.
Peace.
They used to blame books.
Yes, they did.